Yeah, you go for it, man.
Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest tonight he's a musician, he's a horror fanatic, he makes his own craft beer and hot sauce, and he just loves Halloween, period. Dean Sharp. How's it going, Dean?
Hey, dude. I am good, Robin, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show, dude. I really appreciate it. We are transmitting all the way from the other side of the pond, man.
I know, you're over in England. I'm over here in the Midwest.
Well, I'll do you a trade-off, man. We can swap.
Oh, I know, right? Hey, since it's 2023, you are my first guest on the podcast. You should feel special.
Oh, dude, I do. Honestly, I feel special you asking me, even if I was your 10th guest, man. But seeing as I'm the first guest, I feel extra special.
You also do a lot of conventions, a lot of horror conventions and all that. So I'm going to ask you this question. What was one memorable moment and one crazy, what the hell was going on moment when you were at a convention?
Oh, one cool moment. Okay, so one cool moment. We did one recently called For the Love of Horror.
Okay.
And it's in Manchester, which is in the northern part of England. I love Manchester. You got a lot of cool bands come out of Manchester, man. Oasis, the Smiths, the Stone Roses. Really, really great scene up there in Manchester. We do a lot of events there. I love it up there. I'm based in sort of Hertfordshire, which is down near London. So anyway, we do this event every year. It's a great horror convention. It's one of the best that I've ever been to. They get some really, really good guests. And on this particular one, they had Corey Taylor from Slipknot.
Nice.
Performing on the Friday night. So the event took place on a Saturday and a Sunday. But if you could buy, the people attending the convention could buy tickets on a Friday, and they could come along and watch Corey perform on the Friday night, and then he was there signing for the whole weekend. So we've kind of rocked up. We're trying to figure out where our vendor spot's going to be, where we're going to be positioned. And they positioned our stall right next to the fucking stage. In the main hall. We weren't in the traders hall. They put us right next to the stage, man. So we've arrived sort of Friday afternoon, and we're just we're bringing all our stuff in. We're setting up all our doing our setup and putting all the bottles out and everything. And right behind us, we've got Corey Taylor just sound checking for his gig. And it was so awesome because we listened, and then he came off the stage afterwards, and he was walking around, and he went and said hello to everybody. He's such a lovely guy. I'm a big Slipknot fan, and I'm a big fan of everything that he does. So yeah, it was really cool. It was such a nice kind of moment, just watching him just sound check before all the fans come in to watch him, and then he came around. He was saying hello to everyone. And then, basically we spent the whole weekend right at the side of the stage. So we got to see his performance. We got to see all the guest panels. We got to see, David, what's his name from Scream? David Arquette do some, get bare chested and do some wrestling moves on someone on the stage. We just had the greatest spot ever. So yeah, I guess that was one cool moment out of a hell of a lot of cool moments that we've had. Are we all right to swear on it?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll try to keep my F-bombs down to a minimum, but one what the fuck moment. We did an event, it was in London, and it was called the London Film and Comic-Con.
Okay.
And it's a huge event at Kensington Olympia. They do it 3 times a year. They do a spring edition, a summer edition, and a winter edition. And I think this was the spring edition, and they had Robert Englund was there doing a signing, and I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan, man. Freddy Krueger, man. I've grown up with, Freddy Krueger and V, and so we kind of just we're taking a walk around, and he was up on the upper level platform, and I think I've met him, about a year or so before this, but I was still, every time you see Robert Englund in the flesh, it's like, that's Robert Englund, man. So my girlfriend spotted him get up from his desk and walk into the bathroom, into the toilet. she's like, go in there. I'm like, what am I going to say? I'm not going to bother him whilst he's doing his business. But I just thought, do you know what? Screw it, man. I'm just gonna go in and make out. I'm just going about my and I walked in there in the toilet, in the bathroom. I think you guys call them bathrooms, wherever, toilet. And we walked in. I walked in there, and it's just me and fucking Robert Englund in this whole big, and he had a bit of a sore throat, and he was standing at the mirror, and he was kind of clearing his throat. He was like going. I was like, jeez, and you could hear Freddy Krueger, and then so I've gone into one of the stalls and I'm just taking a whiz, and I've heard his kind of footsteps come over, and he's gone into the stall next to me, and he's taking a whiz. I'm like, Freddy Krueger is taking a piss next to me, man. And that was a what the fuck moment for me. And he's like clearing his throat. He's like, I was like, that's Freddy Krueger. That's Freddy Krueger in the next stand. So I was just expecting any minute now this glove just to come underneath, and like, but,
hey, that's funny. I hope you washed his hands afterwards too.
Yeah. I didn't see that bit. I can't remember who left first, but I didn't bother him, man. I didn't want to bother him because, he was taking a bit of quiet time, in between talking to people. I could see he was really struggling with his throat that day. So I didn't want to bother him. I didn't want to say, hey, Robert, whilst he was in the toilet. So I didn't say anything. But me and Robert Englund shared a moment together in the bathroom in England, at the Kensington Olympia.
Oh, that's awesome. Speaking of you being a Freddy Krueger fan and an Elm Street fan, there's a documentary coming out this year. You ever heard of it? It's called Fred Heads, and it's a documentary about all the fans who love Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, wow. You know what? I've heard that name. Some friends of mine actually did another one coming out soon. It was originally titled Icon, and now I think it's called Hollywood Dreams and something or other. It's due for release pretty soon, I think. They're the same guys that recently did the Pennywise documentary.
That was good.
That. Yeah, so the same guys that did that, we know them fairly well. Gary, John, a guy called Chris. We actually had them on our podcast once, but I see them around quite a lot. Two of the guys are from over here. And they've recently done a Nightmare on Elm, a Freddy Krueger. Well, not Freddy Krueger. It's Robert Englund. It's all about his whole career, V and everything else he's done. But Fred Heads, man, I'll keep an eye out for that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, because I interviewed the filmmakers who did that over at Horror Hound of March last year, and it was good. And I watched it, and I was at awe. I mean, I didn't know there was so many like diehard Elm Street fans out there, man.
Yeah. Have you seen the recent one? There's an Evil Dead one that was up on. I feel like it was on Shudder recently. You seen that one? Oh
yeah, it's called the Evil Deadities documentary. I hope I said that. Yeah.
Evil Deadites, I think.
Yeah, Deadites. Yeah, Deadites. So, speaking of Evil Dead, did you check out the trailer to Evil Dead Rising?
Well, funnily enough, you should say that, because when I mentioned I was running a little bit late, that's because we actually did. Me and my buddy who did a podcast, Dustin, over in the Baron's Hideout, we did a reaction video to the new trailer, and I was running a bit late because I was having real trouble trying to upload it. So yeah, man, we've seen it, yeah, and yes, I'm invested, man. It looks good. I'm a big Evil Dead fan anyway, so I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be really interesting, set in a high rise, I think it's going to be that interesting.
It's so creepy. Let's talk about your podcast. You also have a YouTube vlog called Dean of the Dead. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that. I've been checking that out lately.
Yeah, man. So I started it quite a while back, and I've always been into vlogs. I love watching vlogs because when you're just sitting at home, it makes you feel like you're on a day out. And I just kind of thought I really want to do something like this myself. Not because I'm trying to earn any money out of it, but I just thought, you know what, these are really nice little video diary, time capsules of days out and events that you've been to. So I just started, way back when I started filming stuff. None of it's any that good, but it's great because I've started putting them all together. I've put this channel together now, and I'm sort of trying to take it a little bit more seriously now. But then I look back over all the videos, and then they sort of, as they're playing through, I think, oh yeah, I remember that. You know, that was a good night, and I remember that. And it's just like it's almost like a video diary, really, for me. I started it a couple of years back, and now I've got a whole bunch of videos that I'm just trying to edit together and just put on there. And then moving forward, I'm just trying and keep it as, you know, I think mainly I'm a big fan of the scare attraction industry, like Halloween haunts and stuff like that. And I really champion that whole industry. I love it. You know, the Halloween Horror Nights stuff. When we came to the States, we did like Busch Gardens, Hallow Scream, SeaWorld, Hallow Scream. There's a ton of stuff over here, you know, haunts, scare maze, you know, scare attractions. And I'm trying to get into the merch with the hot sauces as well. So I just, you know, I support that whole scene. I love that whole industry. So I thought, man, let's go, let's film it, stick it up on the YouTube and play it to my kids, and they'll be like, the hell is that, Dad? What is he doing there? but no, you know, I'm having a lot of fun with it, man. And I like sometimes, as I say, if I'm having a bit of a down day, I stick that on. It picks me up. I love it. I think, yeah.
That's pretty cool. I checked out your stuff and I love it. Now let's talk about your hot sauce, man. You have a hot sauce, and you also do a little crafting and a little bit of a beer too. What got you into the, you know, hot sauce and craft beer?
So I started up the Dean of the Dead. On my branding it says terrorizing taste buds since 2017. But we never actually launched the website, or it really went live or did an event until 2019. So I guess 2017 is when I kind of come up with the idea. I just finished up in a band I was in for years. I can talk to you about that in a bit. And it kind of saved me in a way, because, you know, the band was so close to being successful, it all kind of fell to pieces. And I thought, you know, instead of getting depressed and, you know, whatever, I just kind of put my head into this Dean of the Dead project, and it's just kind of gone from strength to strength to strength. And, you know, there was no one around to say, no, you can't do this, and no, you can't do that. It was just mine, man. It's my project, and I just really got into it. And I love horror films. I've always been a fan of horror since I was a kid. Hot sauce. I kind of went to like a chili festival quite a few years back, and I was really, like, I've always loved my hot food. I've always loved my spicy food, and I was kind of really blown away by like how creative some of the producers can get, you know, with the label art and with the different flavors and the way they present their stands. And I was like, this is just so cool, man. I love it. Everyone's so creative and artistic. So I just kind of had this eureka moment where I was like, oh, horror films and hot sauce, and just kind of meshed the two together and just started getting a really good response. Just sort of went from there, really. And then I was kind of thinking, like, how can I get into trade at like Comic Cons and horror cons, but with something different. So I kind of approached all the people, you know, about vending, showed them my idea, and they were like, wow, this is cool. There's nothing like this around. So yeah, man, I just went from strength to strength to strength, bizarrely. But I'll tell you about the actual sauces themselves. They started off all being named after horror films. Nice. So you had, they're not anymore, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but basically they started off, for example, we had one called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We had the Naga Mare on Elm Street, which had the Naga chili in it. The Exorcist sauce. What else? Parascoville Activity. We was going to do a fun, what was an it one called Shit, and that was like a brown sauce. But we got shut down before. So basically, they were all named after horror films, and I got a cease and desist email from Warner Brothers saying, yeah, you got to stop using a couple of those names. And it was the Exorcist and it was the Nagamore on Elm Street, and they basically just kind of came at me heavy. They were trying to get me to take down loads of pictures off of my Instagram, and I was trying to argue that it was parody. You know, it's a play on words. I'm not ripping off your product. There's no pictures of Freddy Krueger on a pole or anything like that. It's just a play on words. and The Exorcist is a name in the dictionary, so you can fuck off. But they didn't see it like that. And I didn't want to kind of battle the might of Warner Brothers. I kind of wore it like a badge of honor. I was like, if I'm on their radar, man, and whatever. So I ended up just changing all the branding. I kept it horror. I kept it puns. They're like horror puns still. And then I just started working with this guy called Jason Miller, who's a comic book artist, who designed all my beer can labels, which are the Ales from the Crypt. So I'm still waiting for EC Comics to come at me for that one. But yeah, so he basically helped me out with the rebranding. We came up with all these like characters. So there's like it's almost, I don't know if you heard of the band Gorillaz.
Yeah, I've heard of the Gorillaz. Yes. Yeah,
so they've got those little cartoon characters. So we started coming up with like kind of like a horror version of those, really. So they were always like, so you've got like a werewolf who looks like Vivian out of The Young Ones. We called him John Revolta. She's like a punk werewolf. We've got a vampire that looks like Dave Vanian from The Damned, called Vane Goth. We've got a Frankenstein that looks like Lemmy, with a big handlebar moustache.
Nice.
Called Damage Case. So we've got Winona Spider on bass. She's the witch. And they're almost kind of like a punk rock version, a horror punk rock Gorillaz, I guess, is the best way to describe it. So that's where the new branding's kind of going now. So yeah, man, that's where I'm at with the hot sauce and the beer, I guess. Yeah.
Boy, that's just amazing, man. I hope
That's a lot of information there. Sorry.
Hey, I like that. I didn't know Warner Brothers came after you like that. That's crazy.
Well, dude, they came at me real hard because, I mean, when I first got the email through, I was just like, it's just spam. It's just some crappy spam email. And then when I actually opened it up and read it, I was like, whoa, that's not spam. It was like 15 pages long. They included all the original contracts from the movies in there, just, highlighting what was their IP and what I was crossing the lines of fair use and all that kind of stuff. They also, and this is what made me laugh, they kind of went onto my Instagram page, and at a Comic-Con, you'd see a lot of people in cosplay.
Yeah.
So, for example, there was you see a Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th cosplay. There's some brilliant costumes out there, man. And, you'd say, I'd ask the cosplayer, do you mind having a picture in front of my stand? And, holding a bottle of sauce for the Instagram, man, for the gram. And they're like, yeah, sure. So Warner Brothers are like, take that down. We own the rights to Jason Voorhees. I'm like, this is a cosplayer, man. It's a cosplayer, goddamn. They own that costume. I'm not trying to sell a Jason Voorhees costume. It's just a photo of somebody attending an event. But so I basically kind of refused to take them down. So they went directly to Instagram and made Instagram take them down. So they came at me hard, man. They came at me really hard.
That's crazy. Also, don't you have a film project you're doing too?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of independent movies, independent horror. I never shit on films, man, because I think it takes so much effort and passion that goes into making movies and stuff, and even like low budget stuff. I appreciate it all. I just appreciate people being creative. I love that kind of stuff. So I've got a lot of friends who are independent filmmakers. Some of them are really, really, really good. They make a lot of like horror short films. Mm-hmm. So I had this idea to make a kind of like obviously on an independent budget, because we don't have Blumhouse funding,
yeah,
anything like that. So it's going to be like a kind of Tales from the Crypt, creep show, body bags-esque anthology, like a horror anthology. In January, it's January now, isn't it? Jeez. Late January, it's January the 23rd, we're filming like a whole wraparound sequence, which is going to be all the little bits in between. So it's basically going to be me dressed up as a zombie, introducing all the different horror shorts. And I'm going to kind of keep it Crypt-keeper-esque. And then, so all the horror shorts are going to be seasonal. So it starts off with a Christmas short, then it goes into a Valentine's short, then we got an Easter short, a Halloween short, finish it off on another Christmas short. So it kind of spans across, a year. And yeah, man, I've got like 4 shorts already made, and they're great. I'm really proud. I think it's going to be, it's for what it is, for the budget that we've got, which is pretty much nothing. It's going to be. I'm really proud of it so far. It's going to be great, and that's just pulling in a lot of favors. That's just a lot of creative friends I've got, and people around me, and people I've met along the way. Just like, yeah, man. You know, everyone loves the art. Everyone loves just helping each other out, and that's what I love about the horror community as well. Everyone's so friendly and helpful. They just want to do cool shit, you know.
So, since you're going to be doing this, are you going to submit them to some film festivals too?
That is the idea. I mean, it kind of depends. I don't really want to miss the boat on the submissions and stuff, so I have to kind of look into that a little bit more. There's a few people that I know are friends of mine who run some pretty good horror film festivals over here. We've got one called Grimfest in Manchester, one called Celluloid Screams, which is in Sheffield. Horror on Sea, that's in a couple of weeks actually, so we will miss that one unfortunately. Maybe next year. But there's a few different ones dotted around, man. I've got a friend over in the States who runs Horror Festival. There's tons, so I will definitely be looking to try and get them into as many as I can. But I just want to wait, get it all finished, get it all edited, sit down, watch it, get some reactions from some friends, and then just see what I can do with it. You know, I'm always out at events. I've got a decent reach on my socials, so I'll just be pushing it. And the ultimate goal is to really champion all these independent director guys, you know, who are making these short films. You know, I don't want to make any money out of it. It's a labour of love project, man. It's a passion project. So the ultimate goal is to really just promote these guys around me who have made these really awesome shorts, and just, you know, help push their careers and just get their movies seen by as many eyes as possible, I think.
So if you do some over in the States, you should also reach out to Horror Hound too. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Now I know it's got to be a certain kind of production value, I'm guessing. But so far so good. I'm you know, once we've got the wraparound scenes and we put it all together, then I'll be able to see what festivals I think it will be suitable for and what ones, you know, just with the production values, you know what I mean? You know, but there's some really champion independent films, and they have a special section for that. Like, I know Fright Fest over here in the UK is probably our biggest horror film festival. And it's become a bit more, I don't know, they have a bit more high budgeted movies, whereas back in the day it was a lot more about the indie films. Yeah.
You know, it's a bit more business now. But they also now use the Prince Charles Cinema as well as the main cinema, which I think is for the more kind of low-key indie stuff. So, you know, you can still get on the festival bill. So, I don't know, I'll look into it. And I think once it's done, and I sit down and watch it back and go, okay, cool. You know what? I think that will fit here, there, and whatever. And then we'll see.
Yeah.
Who takes it.
Yeah, I love indie films and indie horror. I love supporting it because I like it because they put their heart and soul into it and all the originality. I think some of them are better than some of the mainstream movies you see in Hollywood right now. Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of the films that's come out recently, which is everyone's talking about at the minute, there's Terrifier 2. Yes. And, you know, that was just a small independent, All Hallows Eve, and then I think there was something before that, All Hallows Eve, then Terrifier. And then I think they did like a Kickstarter campaign or a GoFundMe or something like that for Terrifier 2. They got like way more than the budget they asked for, but it's still only something like 250,000. You know, in the grand scheme of movie making, that's nothing compared to what they made. I mean, that's brilliant for indie horror, man. You know, like they spent weeks and weeks and weeks at the theaters, did it, and made millions. So it's so punk, man, because it's just too, you know, middle digits up to some of these big companies saying, we don't need you. We don't need you guys. We can do this, man. The DIY ethic. Yeah, that's pretty wild. And I've seen all crazy ones. There's this one crazy indie horror film I watched. It was B-budget. Yeah. It was campy, and it was different. It was called Clay Zombies. Clay Zombies? Yes, and... man, I'm going to need to write these down. I need to see this one and the one you told me about earlier on. Yeah, Mad Heidi, yeah. So Clay Zombies is about find this mysterious clay, okay, and this actors in this film, and if you touch the clay, you turn into a claymation zombie. So so the zombies are like made of clay and stuff. So you see the actors in the film acting like they're shooting these clay zombies, and you see all the like Play-Doh blood coming out of the clay zombies.
I love that. That's great. It's almost like kind of stop motion kind of effect.
Yeah, it is. And I did a review on it, and the writer and director hit me up on social media. It's like, oh, I see you liked my film, and I didn't. Nice. I didn't think he was gonna like reach out. I was just making a fun review because I do love I love cheesy horror too. But so
that's great.
So I just put my spin, and he reached out to me. I was like, oh, hey,
that's great, man. That's so cool. I'm gonna check. I've written that one down. Clay Zombies. I'm definitely gonna check that one out. That sounds great. I love stuff like that.
I like stuff that's really like different and stuff, and it's just it's just like too wild. You're also into music too. I saw a picture of your guitar on Instagram.
Yeah, man. My good friend Jason made me this Dean in the Dead guitar. It's so cool. So I'm a big fan of the SG guitar, Gibson SGs. And I've got a really cool, nice Palm Blue one. And my friend Jason, he's made quite a few guitars in the past, and he was like, "Do you want me to make you your own Dean of the Dead guitar?" I was like, "Hell yeah, man! That's great, definitely." So we kind of worked together on it. Like he did everything. Like I didn't do it. I can't take any credit for it whatsoever. But he would always kind of go, "Okay, what color do you want it?" Black, black, and he would just keep coming back at me with like different designs and stuff that he'd come up with, and we'd run things by me and stuff, but essentially it was all him. He put the whole thing together. He sprayed the whole thing. He did all the neck. It's got the name of the Dean of the Dead decals going up the neck in the kind of zombie slime green. It's great, man. It's so cool. I love it.
So have you jammed on it yet?
I did a gig the other day actually, but because we did it was a put together band. It was the first gig that I played since May last year. We literally flew a guy over from the States. He was the guy I was telling you about earlier on from LA. He was a friend of a friend who was playing bass in the band. He put the whole gig together. We did like a big 8-9 hour rehearsal the day before the gig, and then we just kind of put all the equipment in the back of a taxi and shipped it straight off to the venue. So I didn't use that guitar because I didn't, just in case anything happened to it, man. I was like, I don't want it to go missing, so I used a different guitar. But I've got another gig coming up soon where I will definitely take it out and give it a good thrashing. We've got I'm doing this thing called ScareCon, which is again going back to the scare industry. They put on like a big awards ceremony at a theme park over here called Thorpe Park. It's a big park. And then with the band, we normally play in the evenings. We play for like the sort of closing party. And that's always a good laugh, man. Everyone just gets drunk as hell. We just bring out the AC/DC and everyone goes crazy. So that's fun. And I would definitely use it for that. That's the place to use it.
Damn, that would have been cool right now. So you jamming on it right now.
Oh, dude, I don't even have it around, man. It's upstairs.
Damn it! I want to hear you jam on that, man. Jam it on the podcast a little bit to do that.
Yeah, well, it's upstairs, and it's like nearly midnight here. So if I play it, I'm pretty sure my partner will get up and probably smash me around the back of the head with it if I wake her up.
oh yeah, you don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, any other time I would do. Well, we can always come back on it, and we can do another session another time. Man.
Yeah, I'll definitely have you on again, and I want to hear you jam on my podcast.
Dude, I love it all. I'll have it with the mic. I'll have the amplifier set up. I'll have the whole lot ready to go, man. So next time we can even open it with a song.
Who knows? Maybe I'll let you write me a theme song for my podcast.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for that. Let's do it.
So then just jam away. Since you're into haunted attractions, what got you excited about going to haunted attractions? What got you into it? It's like, man, I'm gonna try to.
I reckon it's kind of like your passion for horror movies. It's like taking it that step further and almost stepping into one. It's like especially good ones, and especially like, you know, Halloween Horror Nights. It's like you're walking through that movie. When I very first started going to them way back when, they terrified me, man. They were so scary. I'm a little bit more desensitized now because I've done so many of them. But again, I love the creativity of the set builds, you know, everything that the actors give. I've seen great actors, I've seen not so great actors, you know, I've seen great set builds, not so great set builds, but again, just appreciate everything anyone does, you know, on those events, because it takes a hell of a lot to set those things up and just keep the whole thing running smoothly, you know, resetting all the time. I just love it, man. You know, I love going to a scream park. You know, I love the atmosphere. I love being scared. You know, the audio being loud, all the jump scares. I just love it, man. You know, it's like I've got to know a lot of people within that scare industry. We've done some of the more kind of extreme stuff, which some I won't, you know, we got invited to one in Belgium and you had to sign this waiver. I didn't do it. I will admit that I chickened out. I didn't do it in the end. But yeah, the waiver, they sent me a waiver through and it was like, you know, electric shocks and waterboarding and like all kinds of crazy shit. And I was like, no, man, I don't think, you know, that's like, I don't know. I love scream parks. I love haunts. Not so much electric shocks or being potentially drowned. That's a little bit too far for me. I've got friends who absolutely love that kind of stuff. I've got a friend called Steve, and he's crazy, man. You wouldn't even, when you met him, you wouldn't even think, you know, he's like works in IT or something, you know, he's just a real straight dude. Really lovely guy. But he goes to some crazy ass shit. Like, I've seen him covered in blood and bandages and all sorts, man. And I'm like, Steve, dude, you're crazy. He loves it. And he goes on his own. He'll go on his own. Like, he'll just, and he'd get on a flight, and then he's going to one in Austria soon. And he showed me it, and I was just like, hell no. He's just going on his own. But yeah, fair play to him. But no, I love that whole industry. I love that whole scene. I love scare mazes. Like I say, it's like being in a real life horror film. You know, it's great.
So, what does horror mean to you?
Oh, it's my happy place. Horror's my happy place. I've been a horror fan since I was a kid. Horror's never let me down, man. You know, I don't know. It's really so ironic because it's all about death and gore, and but to me, it's just, it makes me feel warm and cozy. It's so strange. I used to love, like, you know, such a film to help me relax, and like I put on every night. You know, not to be like back in the day. You know, I'd always put this film on, was like House of a Thousand Corpses by Rob Zombie. I love that movie, and my partner at the time was just like, why do you? How does this movie relax you? It's like, you know, it's like full of death and mutilation and people screaming. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's great. I love it.
Hey, I like you already.
Yeah, man. But to me, yeah, horror is just my happy place, man. I've loved it since I was a kid. It's so, you know, it's just always testing, you know. What's the word? I read something Clive Barker once wrote about, you know, why people love horror movies so much, and it's almost like, you know, poking fun at, you know, your inevitable demise, but you just kind of, I don't know what it is. I'm just not right in the head, I guess.
Hey, we're not all right in the head. You know who made me sick in the head for watching horror films, and it makes me feel sick in the head, but I enjoy it. I blame it on Joe Bob Briggs.
I love that guy. Oh, I love Joe Bob, man. I love Joe Bob. That's one guy I'd love to meet. I love Joe Bob.
I've met him. He is so cool. He's the one that really got me into horror films. You know, I'm kind of an old fart. I grew up in the 80s and stuff, and when I got into my first horror films was when I would stay up late Friday night on the movie channel and watch Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater. This is way before Monster Vision, way before The Last Drive-In, but it was called Joe Bob Briggs Drive-In Theater. And one of the first movies I watched on there was the original Evil Dead. It
Oh yeah.
it took Joe Bob Briggs like 3 months to convince the movie channel to let him show it, because at that time
Really?
it was like so messed up, and people were like, oh, you can't be showing this on TV. But Joe Bob fought with the movie channel, and then 3 months later he aired the first original Evil Dead film, man.
Wow. That's amazing. And I absolutely love that. I see what actually got me into horror when I was a kid was my first kind of introduction into horror was my stepfather used to own a video shop.
Mom and pop video shops are the best.
Yeah, like so an old school VHS store. This is great. So I was born in '79. So this would have been during the 80s as well, I guess, as a kid growing up. And it was always the horror section that I would gravitate towards because of the artwork on the covers. And there's an artist over here who actually I know now as quite a good friend. We see him around all the time. There's an artist called Graham Humphreys. And he designed all the original Evil Dead covers, those paintings on the Evil Dead.
Really?
Yeah, this one right here.
Oh yeah, I know the audience can't, see this, but I can see it though. Oh wow, so that's badass.
And he did like the Nightmare on Elm Street. He's done a whole load of stuff, man. If you type in Graham Humphreys, you'll see all the front covers, that posters and stuff that he's done, and you'll be like, whoa. And as I say, we've got to know him really well. He's a really lovely guy. And when I first met him at a horror convention, I was like, it's down to you, actually, really, that got me into horror. Because as a kid, it was all the covers of your, the covers that you painted, because I think all paintings for these movies just fascinated me, man. I was like, what is this? I was just drawn to it. I'd pick up the box and I'd be like, what's inside this box, man? What goes on in this film? This is some crazy shit. Man. Ever since I was a young dude, and also maybe it was meant to be because my dad was Boris Karloff's paperboy.
Wow. Boris, so did he get to meet Boris Karloff?
Yeah, man. I didn't. I was too young. I wasn't born when my dad was younger. Boris Karloff he lived in Enfield, which is where I was born in Enfield, called Chase Farm Hospital. And on where the hospital is on a road called the Ridgeway. And that's where Boris Karloff used to live, on the Ridgeway. And he went to Enfield Grammar School. You can look all this up. He went to Enfield Grammar School. I used to work with his great-grandson at HMV record store.
Nice.
And yeah, my dad said it was his paper boy. When he was younger, he used to deliver his papers, and he met him. He said he was a lovely, lovely guy, very tall. But I'm guessing my dad was probably quite small. But he said, yeah, very nice. So yeah, man, my dad was Boris Karloff's paper boy. So I'm guessing it was meant to be that I was going to be a horror fan.
All right. So where can everybody find you on social media to see what you're doing next?
Yeah, man. So I'm very active on my Instagram account, which is Dean of the Dead Hot Sauce, it's just Instagram, and it's just at Dean of the Dead Hot Sauce. That's also my Facebook account at Dean of the Dead Hot Sauce. I've got a website which has got all the hot sauces and the beers. Unfortunately, at the minute, only available in the UK.
Boo!
That's www.deanofthedead.com. However, I do have some co-packers lined up in the US, which I'm hoping in the next few months I'm going to have a separate store opened up for America, man. It's just a little bit of money, a little bit of talking, a little bit of jigging around, and then I'm good to go. But I've got the Mystic Museum in California wants to stock the sauces, so I'm ready to go. It's just just getting a few things sorted out. But yeah, www.deanofthedead.com at Dean of the Dead Hot Sauce. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, Dean of the Dead TV, just type in Dean of the Dead TV. And that's probably enough Dean of the Dead for anyone.
Exactly. Oh, that's wild. You also have T-shirts, don't you?
I do, yeah. I'm trying to get some new ones. So basically, during the pandemic, because I'd only really just started doing events, but obviously during the pandemic, everything shut down. There was no events going on. Everyone was broke. So I did I reached out to like a lot of tattoo artists and did like some collaborations with them. So I just said like, design me a horror themed hot sauce, whatever. So we had images coming back of like zombies melting whilst drinking hot sauce, and hands coming out of the grave holding hot sauce. So we've got those, you know, like a teen wolf, werewolf necking a bottle of hot sauce. So we've got them up online at the minute. But I don't know. I'm guessing we do them like made to order. I'm guessing we'll keep them up there for the time being. But I'm looking to do like a proper range moving forward of some different designs. And yeah, man, I'm just going to keep the brand expanding. We're going to get some more beers in the range. Got some more hot sauces. I'm doing a Terrifier hot sauce for the movie Terrifier. I'm doing a hot sauce for the movie Pool Party Massacre. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one. Oh, man, I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm doing like a Chug Challenge box set called The Dean of the Seven Deadly Sins. The Seven Deadly Sins, Dean of the Seven Dean of the Deadly Sins. So, something like that. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But everything will be up on my Instagram so people can follow that. And, you know, if they're not sick of the sound of my voice by then, they can check out everything that we're doing.